Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. There are moments in life when we feel broken, when pain, loss, and failure leave behind scars that seem too deep to heal. But what if I told you that these very scars could become the reason you shine the brightest? That the cracks in our soul are not signs of weakness, but windows through which our inner light can escape. Today, I want to talk about something close to every heart, turning scars into stars. This isn't just a topic. It's a testament to human resilience, the art of embracing imperfections, and the power of rewriting our narrative. And when I think of turning pain into power, there's one name that echoes in my mind. Muniba Mazari, a woman who transformed tragedy into triumph. A voice that teaches us that the wheelchair doesn't define her, her spirit does. So let's embark on this journey together, of owning our scars, honoring our struggles, and rising like stars from the darkest nights. Scars often carry a heavy weight, not just on our skin but deep within our hearts and minds. They are the silent reminders of battles fought, losses endured, and storms weathered. Yet, in a world that often glorifies perfection and flawlessness, we are taught to hide our scars, to cover them up, and pretend they were never there. But what if we looked at them differently? What if we began to see them not as symbols of weakness, but as badges of honor? Every scar has a story, a history etched into our being. Whether emotional or physical, scars are not signs that we were defeated, but that we endured. The aftermath of pain, yes, but also of healing. They whisper, "You made it through." In the quiet moments when doubt creeps in, and when life seems to knock us down again, our scars remind us of our strength. They are living proof that no matter how broken we may have felt, we got back up and kept moving forward. Think of a child learning to walk. They fall countless times, skin their knees, cry, and yet they get back up. And each fall teaches them balance, strength, and courage. Life isn't much different. We stumble, we hurt, and we fall, but with every scar we gain, we grow. It's easy to forget this when the world seems to celebrate only the polished versions of success. Social media, magazines, and movies often portray lives that seem untouched by struggle. But the truth is, everyone has scars. They're just not always visible. Muniba Mazari is one such voice that echoes this truth. Her journey is filled with scars, emotional and physical. After the car accident that left her paralyzed, she could have chosen to hide, to live in the shadow of what she had lost. But she didn't. She embraced her scars and let them speak. Through her story, she showed the world that pain can be transformed into purpose and that scars can be the very source of strength. When we learn to embrace our scars, we begin to reclaim our stories. Instead of being defined by what happened to us, we start to define ourselves by how we rose above it. There is a quiet confidence that comes with owning your wounds. It is the kind of power that cannot be taken away, because it is born from truth. It is not about pretending everything is fine. It's about acknowledging the hurt and choosing to move forward anyway. Scars can also teach us empathy. When we recognize our own pain, we become more capable of understanding the pain of others. We connect on a deeper level because we see not just smiles, but the struggles behind them. And in doing so, we build bridges of compassion. We become less judgmental, more patient, and more human. Our scars remind us that we are not alone in our suffering, and they invite us to be kinder, and not only to others, but to ourselves. Often, we try to run away from pain. We think that if we ignore our wounds, they'll disappear. But healing doesn't work that way. True healing comes when we face our pain, when we sit with it, understand it, and eventually learn from it. Only then can we transform it into strength. Only then can a scar truly become a symbol of survival rather than suffering. We live in a culture that often encourages us to showcase only our wins. But there is something incredibly powerful about showing the world where we've been hurt and how we've healed. It doesn't make us weak, it makes us real. And in being real, we give others permission to do the same. We create space for authenticity, for vulnerability, and for courage. There is a Japanese art form called kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired using gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, they highlight them. The idea is that the breakage is part of the history of the object, and that it becomes even more beautiful because of it. What if we saw ourselves that way? What if our scars were the gold that filled the cracks in our lives, making us more whole, more beautiful, and more resilient than ever before. We don't need to be perfect to be powerful. We don't need to erase our past to shine. Our scars are a part of us, but they don't define us. They reflect the mountains we've climbed, the pain we've endured, and the victories we've earned one step at a time. To embrace our scars is to say, I've been through something and I'm still standing. It's a declaration of survival. It's a quiet roar that tells the world, I am more than what happened to me. Pain is one of the most inevitable experiences of life. No matter who we are, where we come from, or what path we take, at some point we will face pain. It might come through loss, failure, rejection, or even through moments of deep personal struggle. But while pain is something we often try to avoid or escape from, it can also be one of the most powerful forces for transformation. Pain, when embraced with courage and purpose, can become a catalyst for something far greater than the suffering itself. It can lead us to discover our true purpose. When we are in pain, we are raw. We are stripped of pretense, of ego, of the masks we wear for the world. It is in these moments of vulnerability that we truly meet ourselves. We begin to ask deeper questions. Why did this happen to me? What can I learn from this? How do I grow from here? And it's within those questions that the seeds of purpose are often planted. In the silence of suffering, a new voice can emerge. The voice of clarity, of strength, and of direction. Many people who have gone on to do extraordinary things have done so not in spite of their pain, but because of it. They turn their wounds into wisdom, their breakdowns into breakthroughs. Muniba Mazari is a living example of this truth. After her accident, she could have allowed the pain to consume her. She could have chosen bitterness or silence, but instead, she transformed that pain into a message. She used her voice to reach others who were hurting, to show them that even when life changes in an instant, it's still worth living fully. Fully. Her pain didn't hold her back. It gave her the power to rise, to speak, to inspire. When we are in pain, we gain a different lens through which we see the world. We no longer take the small things for granted. We develop a deeper appreciation for life, for love, for the moments that truly matter. Pain grounds us. It makes us reflect, prioritize, and reimagine what is possible. And in that process, it pushes us toward purpose. It strips away what doesn't matter and reveals what does. There is something transformative that happens when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what now? That simple shift changes pain from a prison into a pathway. It allows us to step out of the role of a victim and into the role of a creator. We begin to see that our experiences, no matter how painful, can be used to uplift others, to build something meaningful, to contribute to the world in a way that only we can. Because purpose isn't always born from comfort. More often, it is born from the fire of adversity. Some of the most impactful movements, the most touching stories, and the most inspiring leaders have emerged from deep personal pain. It is through that pain that they found a mission greater than themselves. Whether it was advocating for change, supporting others in their healing, or creating art that touches souls, pain lit the spark. And that spark became a light not only for them, but for countless others. The beauty of turning pain into purpose is that it doesn't require us to be perfect or fully healed. It simply asks us to be willing to be honest, to be open, and to share our journey, even when it's messy, even when it's hard. That willingness can be the bridge between despair and hope, not just for ourselves, but for everyone who hears our story and sees a reflection of their own. Sometimes pain pushes us in a direction we never expected. It closes one door but opens another. It breaks us down so we can be rebuilt in a way that's more aligned with who we truly are. It teaches us to let go of what no longer serves us and to pursue what lights us up inside. And in doing so, it introduces us to a deeper, more authentic version of ourselves. Pain humbles us. It makes us more human, more compassionate. It teaches us to listen, to understand, and to connect. And when we begin to use that understanding to make a difference, whether big or small, we step into our purpose. It doesn't have to be something grand or public. Even the quietest acts of kindness, born from personal pain, can create ripples of impact. Purpose is not always something we find outside of ourselves. Often, it's something we create from the pieces of our brokenness. It's built from the lessons we learn, the resilience we develop, and the love we discover in the process. Pain, when embraced with intention, becomes a guide. It becomes a teacher that points us toward the life we were meant to live, not the life without struggle, but the life with meaning. Every person carries a story within them, a story shaped by experiences, challenges, and turning points that leave a lasting impact. Some stories are spoken loudly, others remain tucked away in silence. But no matter how visible or hidden they may be, our stories hold immense power. When we choose to share our journey, especially the parts that carry pain, vulnerability, and growth, we give others permission to do the same. Our stories, especially the ones shaped by adversity, can serve as beacons of hope for someone else who is walking through darkness. They remind others that healing is possible, that change is real, and that strength can come from the most unlikely places. There is something deeply moving about hearing someone speak their truth, raw, unfiltered, and honest. It creates a connection that goes beyond words. In that moment, walls come down, masks fall away, and human hearts connect. That is the power of your story. It's not about being perfect or having everything figured out. It's about showing up with authenticity, with the courage to say, this is what I've been through, and this is how I'm still standing. That honesty can be more inspiring than any polished speech or flawless image because it touches the soul. When someone is going through a difficult time, they are often looking for signs that they are not alone, that someone understands, that someone has walked through the fire and made it to the other side. Your story might be that sign for them. And the moment you speak about your scars, your struggles, and your healing, you create space for someone else to believe in their own strength. You remind them that resilience is real, that the pain they're experiencing doesn't define them, and that they too can rise above it. Muniba Mazari's story has touched millions, not because she hides her pain, but because she owns it and speaks from a place of truth. She doesn't pretend that everything is easy. She doesn't cover up her vulnerability. Instead, she shares it with grace and strength, and in doing so, she empowers others to find their voice. Her story is not just about survival. It's about transformation, and that transformation becomes a light for others. It becomes a message that says, if I can turn my pain into purpose, so can you. We often underestimate the power of our voice. We think our story isn't special enough, not dramatic enough, not important enough to make a difference. But what matters is not how big or dramatic the story is, it's how deeply it resonates. Sometimes the simplest moments, the quietest breakthroughs, or the most personal challenges can have the biggest impact on someone else's life. You never know who needs to hear what you've been through. You never know whose life could change because you chose to speak. Sharing your story doesn't mean you have to expose every detail or revisit every wound. It means speaking from a place of honesty and strength. It means choosing to use your experience as a tool to lift others up. It means letting someone else know they are not alone. That sense of connection can be life-changing. It builds communities rooted in empathy, in understanding, and in shared humanity. Your story has the power to break the silence around pain. It can challenge the idea that we have to suffer in isolation. It can normalize struggle and celebrate resilience. It can help others find language for what they are feeling and give them the courage to ask for help, to speak up, or to take the next step in their healing. Mazari. It creates a ripple effect of strength where one voice inspires another, and together they build something beautiful. There's also healing in sharing your story. When you speak about your journey, you begin to make peace with it. You begin to see how far you've come. You start to recognize the growth that has happened even in the moments you felt weakest. It becomes a process of reclaiming your narrative, not as someone who was broken, but as someone who was brave enough to rebuild. The world doesn't need more perfection, it needs more authenticity. It needs more people who are willing to say, I've been through pain, and I've learned to rise. When you share your truth, you become a mirror in which others can see their own strength. You become a reminder that we are all capable of healing, of evolving, and of finding purpose through adversity. You become a living example that even in the face of pain, hope can grow and light can return.